Welcome back on the yellow stage of Agile by Example. We apologize for a little delay. And now we are having on a stage Kacprzak.
Okay,
Welcome,
so thank you very much. I'm very happy to be with you guys. So I have a talk about yes.
I would like to introduce you.
Oh, of course. Yeah, sorry.
Kacprzak is tech product expert and entrepreneur with more than a decade of experience developing product and technologies to make people's life easier. He is one of the founder of Boosticam, where he is responsible for a platform and user experience. In his talk, he will share his experience with launching successful product. This case study is based on the Boosty platform that helps economic business to grow. Michael?
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the false start. It's been a bit of a stress with the tech, but I think it'll go downhill from now. So I'm happy to be with you guys. I'd like to share a few things from my experience. Let's say I'm an obedient student of doing things. Maybe not a super expert compared to many people that are today in the conference, but hopefully I could inspire you with a few lessons in the last more or less year that I've had and previously in my previous companies I've launched. So Boosty.com, if you haven't heard of it, it is an online service where you can get financing for e-commerce businesses. We realized when COVID boomed that everything is going online, so we should do something. We haven't been even a year incorporated. So if you look at the timeline, we started off more or less in 2020 in June, and I'll show you through this with the story what we went through. We discovered what we should build. We built the MVP. We validated it. And now we're quite a profitable business. And we have raised Series 8 of 12 million euros recently this year and launched in several European markets. So we're growing quite fast. And I think the methods we went through might give you some hints on if you're launching things, maybe what to do. We have been also introduced as and identified as one of the hottest young scale-ups in fintech. So it's something really interesting. But what I love to think about is the details of how do you get there? Because most startups, like 98%, don't even get to selling anything to anyone, and most features are not used by their users. So having all the lessons done, this is where we could start off today. So most probably some of you or most of you have heard that ideas are easy, execution is everything. This is John Doerr. Well, I'd say that it's a little bit different, and maybe it's not the best thing to start off saying what John Doerr said wrong, but I think it's a misconception that it's execution, because execution means I have an idea and now I just have to go and do it, right? Well, that is completely not true. Maybe you shouldn't even be doing this. And questioning, should I be doing this, is one of the most important things. Do I understand things the way they are or what I feel they are? Do I understand my customers? Do I know their needs? Am I building the right thing at all? Is the very starting point that I'd really start off with. Anytime I do something, I really want to know, is this? So when we started off, we had a venture builder, our investor, and two co-founders. We had an idea and we thought, wow, it sounds like a good thing to do. Well, it might even make us some money. But then what we realized, we need to reduce the risk as soon as possible. Should we invest our time and effort in doing this? And what we did, we found that a few tools I used before the business model canvas from Strategizer. I think they're a fantastic organization. I said, okay, let's just do a very quick deep dive. And this was like a 24, 48-hour deep dive. It wasn't 2 months deep dive. What we did, we did customer interviews. We went on the competition's customer journey. We found competition. We did competition user interviews. We found ex-employees from the competition. We did some market research. We put it all back together into the business model canvas. And we said, well, it sounds like it makes a little bit of sense. So the first thing, the old kind of get out of the office, you have to do this. The interesting thing about this is when I started off with my co-founder, I was in Australia and he was in Poland. And we were sitting like a world apart and thinking like, we didn't even know each other. The venture builder, he said, I think you guys could do business together. We met online and we said, okay, let's just do this thing, like a hackathon. And after that, we realized it makes a little bit of sense. So another misconception I see quite often is the product vision, and that you should kind of have it and then go and just deliver on it. And then you just kind of sell it to the market, sell it to the team, sell it to anyone you want to hire. At that point, we had a kind of a pre-validated idea, and we just wanted to see how far we can go. We didn't have a name. We just thought it's worth to take a look. So the continuous research, we'll go through this a few times today. I think it's something researching, discovering, and then having insights and pivoting with your vision, because your primary idea typically is not what what might be needed in the market, although it sounds very sexy and interesting. So we took a few tools and we said we need a little bit more people to help us. So I typically work with the model canvas and the value proposition canvas, because I want to know, does the market even want this? And then I want to know, can I make money on this? And then I start looking for ways, how can I do this? So is this even feasible? So a great book that came out in that time was the Strategizer also book. As I said, I'm a kind of a student. I just read all the books and then I just try to use them in practice. This is a fantastic book that if you haven't heard it before, it might give you some ideas. It gave me a lot of ideas how to structure the way to move forward. So the three areas, do they want this? Desirable, viable, can I make money from this? And is this feasible? We're building a fintech company that is not anyway regulated. And believe me, no one wants to work with you when you're not incorporated, you don't have a name, and you're not regulated. It sounds like you're kind of a scammy business, right? So the feasibility was also a trick here. But we started off like, should we even be thinking of it? So we had a few researchers, user researchers come in, a designer, a tech lead, and we didn't build any code. I hate building code, right? It took us 6 months to start writing code, really. First, we really looked at the discovery, the prototyping, the rapid prototyping, clickable prototypes that I'll tell you about a little bit later. And we wanted to really validate, is this really what's happening? So we're trying to reduce the risk. So we took the business model canvas you see on the left and the value proposition canvas, and we started stating hypotheses about, is this how it is, validating it with the market. And the path we took, one of them later on was like having the clickable prototype, single feature MVP, single landing page, a concierge approach that we haven't really built it, but we kind of are doing things in the back end, and the Wizard of Oz. That's how it ended up a little bit later down the road. And what I realized at some point is that if you're not embarrassed with the first version of your product, you've launched just too late. That's just how it happens. That I launched a product previously in my a few years ago, and I was so happy. And then I realized I had to learn so many things and fix so many things because they didn't really serve the purpose. They didn't solve the problems because we just jumped into execution, right? I misread the ideas are easy and execution is everything. So coming back to what we did, we took the hypothesis and then we said, okay, which ones are important for making our business work? And then which ones we don't have any evidence? And then we put them together and started experimenting, validating with what we felt is the best way to have a very fast feedback and validation and just move forward. And that's how we got to the MVP. So the discovery path before we got to the MVP were customer interviews, as an example, some paper prototypes. You can do paper prototypes several a day, some surveys, analysis of trends, day in the lifetime of a customer. We met with all of the people we know and the friends we have that know people that have e-commerce businesses. And we just sat with them and we just wanted to see how do they function really? What tools do they use? What are their problems? An interesting way to save you time is a boomerang approach. So you just go and use your customer service and test it out with users. and then get the feedback. What do they believe works and what didn't? And or check customers of your customer. That's how it would work. So all of these things were intended to validate, are we getting into the right direction? And then at some point we got to realize that we have some form of a customer journey prototype that we can start working on, and then start tweaking it from there. And that's when we said, now we can think of the name. Because if we know what the market wants, we know we can make money, we know how we can build it, then we can have a coherent customer journey, and then we know what's the value proposition, and we can connect it. And Boosty means boosting e-commerce. That's what it means. Nothing more and nothing less. We just want to boost e-commerce business. That's where the name came from. So we went through a continuous research and discovery, and there's a whole discussion about how is the team involved, right? There's a lot of theory about, oh, the team should be involved in creating the vision. Well, if you engage them in the discovery phase and you allow them to give insights, and then you give them problems to solve and the context, they will come back and you adjust the vision. Otherwise, it's a top-down thing. It's a kind of waterfall undercover, right? There's a product manager sitting there with a backlog and telling people what to do. So involving people in the problem, giving them the context and space, and then generating evidence and insights will help you pivot and then tune your vision. So our vision has been evolving since the first kind of napkin sketch of the idea to what it is now. So after we realize we have an MVP, now we should build it. So 6 months down the road, we have had people that will be building it. We had a tech lead earlier, a person that had a lot of experience and had satellite people supporting him on gathering the evidence and understanding, is this feasible? How can we build this? But at some point we realized, okay, we need someone that will do these integrations. We need someone that will do this backend, which we chose the tech stack based on what we want to build, not what we like to use. So that is a different approach. And the growth approach, which is embedded in the product, is what we also had there. So if we have it, how do we start selling it before we have it built, really? And then how do we get people who will pay for our service so we can get more insights and tune even more in this cycle? So this is a thing worth to consider. And after a period of time, we go into more execution and more not having it hacked and having a Wizard of Oz approach that people think the customer thinks it's automatic, but in the back end, someone is just really connecting some and plugging in things and moving data manually and automating it through APIs, for example. So that's how it went to evolve. We have a continuous approach to discovery. So if we want to adjust the way we do things, we do mock sales, we have some analytics, we do tracking and such things. So a few words about the team and culture. One thing is the competing values framework and the life cycle. If I'd have to answer where we are now, we are in the chasm. If you have heard of the concept Crossing the Chasm by Jeffrey Moore. So we have gone through the innovators and early adopters, and we're entering the early majority of the market. And the culture of the team, which is at the bottom here, this is a link, a source from Organic Agility material. It changes. So in the beginning, you are in more of adhocracy. So this is the yellow at the top over here. So you want to create things, then you work on more on collaborating, and then you have to start succeeding in the bottom two quadrants of controlling and competing. So if you go back here, you will realize that first we just wanted to just test things, be an innovator and break things, learn fast and move forward. Then we have to build a team that understands the context and can solve problems together. And then we start moving into having more process and more repeatable ways of doing things, more automation in what we do. So this is something also worth to look at. We don't have a feature roadmap. The roadmap, the concept of a roadmap has been kind of pushed away from how we approach things. We have an empowered team that has problems, and we have a continuous discovery process where we discover what should we do next. And that's how we understand what is the most important thing to move forward to achieve our business objectives. So today's vision is that we are the #1 choice for financing businesses online. Decisions and financing is granted within 24 hours fully online. And to do this, we needed to have do people want this? Do they want this decision so fast? Well, apparently, yes. Can we make money on this? That's the thing I can't share too much, but we are making money on this. And is it feasible? Like, can we do KYC, anti-fraud check, onboarding, generating a virtual card, and launching money for customers that can use it for ads or for buying inventory in 24 hours? Yes, we can do that today. So thanks to going through the process, we were able to discover this. And now what we're working on is just improving the experience and making it, let's say, less friction. So some pitfalls to look at is, first of all, analysis paralysis. When people get these tools into hand, they want to make it perfect. Sometimes it's not perfect. Sometimes you overthink things. So it's better to move forward and make decisions and learn than to try to make a perfect decision. The confirmation bias, I've made that mistake before. It cost me a quarter of work with the team in my previous company. So I was looking for facts that fit my solution. I had an idea, and then I was just filtering in the research what I want to hear. And then the other stuff was, they're making a mistake. I think they're wrong. These customers are the wrong customers, right? So that was my mistake. The failure to adapt and learn. After we gathered a lot of data, we had the report from the user researcher. We just said, we don't have time to do this because we have features to deliver, right? And then we came back and said, wow, we shouldn't have been delivering this because it's just nonsense. They're not using it, right? And the last thing, the pitfall is to outsource testing. We're 1 second over time, I see. So don't outsource testing. You have to do it on your own and learn. And just a few takeaways to remember. Use the tools. Right? Be a student, use the tools. Don't let the facts fit your solution. You can control only the process, not the outcomes. Remember that. So don't think of the features, think of how you want to learn. Empower the team, give them problems to solve, and the context, not features, and make a discovery a habit and part of your DNA, right?
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry for the speedy, but so many things to say.
Yeah, thank you very much, Michal, for your speech. Unfortunately, there is no time left for Q&A session, so please be welcome to chat channel on Slack.
Okay.
I post the link in the main yellow screen, so you can chat with Michal there and ask him a question there. And in a moment, we will have here Carolina and Tomasz, so stay with us.